Welcome back to Scotty's Hobbies. Today I'm going to be looking at my Silverado. Why is it a Silverado, Scotty B? Look at this. I love my Tahoe. It is a Tahoe with a 03 Silverado front end on it. And the lighting sucks in here. But back to the problem at hand. So a few of my most viewed videos that I have in my video library, which I have a ton of, so make sure you go check out that library before you go too far, is covering the PCV valve on these trucks. This is going to be the most informative PCV valve video you are going to find out there on the interweb. I'm going to cover a ton of stuff, a ton of information on the PCV valve on the 4.8, 5.3, and 6.0. So make sure you stay tuned, pay attention, because I'm going to include a lot of knowledge. And I'm going to try to not say so much. But on this PCV valve system, I'm going to show you how it functions. I'm going to show you if you need to replace the PCV hose because the AC Delco hose is a little bit expensive. I'm going to show you how to efficiently or cost effectively change that hose. Some of the newer PCV valves don't actually have a valve in it, and I'm going to show you how to test it. I'm going to go over a ton of stuff, so let's get going real quick. Now, before we go too far into this video, make sure to go hit that like button right now. Please, it helps me in the algorithm a lot. Also, comment below with the year, make, and model of the vehicle that this video did help you on, just in case other people have a similar vehicle and they're like, hey, does it work for mine? Let them know it works for your vehicle and it might work for theirs as well. Here we go. Here we are. Got to pop your hood, obviously. Oh, Jesus, there's that wrench. I'm gonna get killed for this. I always end up leaving the wrench in the cars under the hood for some reason. All right, let me show you how your PCV valve system works real quick on any of these engines. So the 4.8, 5.3, and 6.0, all of them are gonna be the same functionality wise, but there's gonna be many variations of this PCV system from the 99 to 2006 and newer models. So let's go over how the PCV valve system works. Your PCV valve is located on the driver's side valve cover, right at the back. You can see it right there. Let me move over here. Right at the back of the valve cover on the driver's side, very corner. You have this hose right here that goes up to the intake, to right under that little throttle body cable. And how this works, when your engine gets vacuum, your PCV valve opens up. The flow of this. At max vacuum, so more towards idle, fresh air enters the engine right here through this hose into your passenger side valve cover right under this ignition coil. Fresh air flows in the engine, goes through the engine, and gets sucked out through the PCV valve system or PCV valve itself and into the intake. And then it goes through the combustion process to get cleaned up through the tailpipe and all that good stuff. This will cause all of the vapors, the blow-by, everything that's built up in the engine that could do harm will be sucked up through the PCV system into the engine. So it's very important to have a good functioning PCV valve. To remove the PCV valve, these are two tools that I'm going to use to get this PCV valve off and the hose off. So this pick right here, it's like a hose pick. What you're going to use this for is on the PCV valve hose at the intake up here. If this hose is hard to get off, this little nipple that your actual PCV valve connects to breaks super easy. So you want to use a pick or something to go around the inside of the hose just to get the hose loosened up. You don't want to put too much pressure on that nipple right there. Let me see if I can move this around. This nipple right here, it breaks really easy. Over time it gets hot, brittle. I've had a lot of people say this thing is broken or has broke on them. So get a pick like this, just run it around the inside of the hose, get it nice and loosened up. That'll make it really easy to come off. All you're gonna do is grab your hose, like so, here's your hose, and just lift straight up. Well, my hose came off, but not the PCV valve. Let's grab the PCV valve, pull straight up as well. There is your PCV valve, super easy to get out. If you're just replacing this PCV valve, it takes about 5 minutes to do this job. So do it, don't hesitate, don't put it off. Make sure you replace your PCV valve on a regular basis. I replace mine about every 30,000 miles and I'll show you why very soon. Now we're gonna remove this hose. With mine, I'm gonna be able to pull it right off because I frequently do. like so. So here is the PCV valve hose that goes from the PCV on the bottom up to the intake on top. Here is where stuff gets a little bit fishy. People have lots of questions about this because you're going to see on some of these models of this 5.3 or 4.8 liter, you're going to have a PCV valve like this. There's no actual valve in this. There's a tiny little hole, but no actual valve in it. This is the PCV valve for the earlier models. You can hear there's actually a valve in it, which mine has a valve in it. With mine, it is actually bad. It's only been in there for about 30,000 miles, but what I noticed when I was making this video or getting ready to make it, mine on the bottom, the pintle or the valve inside isn't actually seating properly, which I thought mine would be good, but it's not. To test these, you want to hold it vertical. You're going to hold the PCV valve vertical. You shouldn't be able to blow on it at all. Should not blow through when it's in a vertical position. Mine's actually doing a lot better now that I'm making a video. Earlier when I tested it, it was much worse. So I'm actually just still going to replace it. You should be able to suck on it. So that would ensure that this PCV valve is good. Here's my new one. I can't blow through it at all. So I'm going to go ahead and put this one on. Now you might be wondering, what should I do with this PCV valve? You should obviously be able to suck and blow through it, which this one is good. But what I don't like about this is that there's actually no valve inside of it. Of course, this is the design from the factory, and I'm always big on doing or sticking to OEM and factory recommendation specifications to keep the vehicle as much as stock or original as possible. But I would highly recommend on the around 2003-ish year models, if you have the serviceable PCV valve, I would recommend taking this one out and going down and getting one of these PCV valves or ordering one. There'll be a link in the description for everything I'm showing you in this video, including the PCV valve with the actual valve inside. But this one, if you're going to go down to a parts store, this is a PCV valve out of a 2001 Chevy Tahoe 5.3 liter, and it fits in any of these systems that we're looking at today. In 2003 on the Cadillacs, it went to a non-serviceable PCV system, and I believe on the Silverados, the Tahoes, around 04 or 05, it went to a non-serviceable PCV system. So you might go look at your PCV valve system or PCV system on that driver's side, pull that hose off, and you're like, I can't get the valve out. Well, some of them are not serviceable, so you can't get that valve out. So don't try too hard and break something and cause way more problems for yourself. Make sure that your PCV valve is serviceable before you start hacking at that rear or at that valve cover on the driver's side in the rear. Make sure it's serviceable, please, please, please. One thing I did want to add in this video is if you do have the non-serviceable PCV valve cover to where you can't take the PCV valve, it's built into that valve cover, you can get a older style valve cover. The 99, 5.3, 4.8, 6.0 valve covers, they're all the same up until I believe 08, so they're interchangeable. I'll provide a link in the description below if I could find a valve cover, or maybe even to eBay to a early 2000s valve cover that will have the PCV hole in it, so you could switch it over to that one if you'd like. And sometimes you got to change that valve cover gasket anyways. You might as well put that older style valve cover on it so you can service the PCV valve when you want to or next time. So the older PCV valve or the older valve covers do work on the newer style motors. So that's one thing to take in consideration when you are worrying about the PCV valve system on these trucks. Now, if you look at your PCV valve hose and you see there's cracks around the ends right there, you think this is leaking, you want to replace this. You'll notice if you take off this heat shield, this rubberized heat shield off of this hose, not as easy as it looks, I guess, you will notice that on both ends you just have a 3/8 hose. You can see both ends is a 3/8 hose. If you need one of these, you could get one from the factory from Chevy, and it comes, I believe one side has the hose with the PCV valve and the other side does not have the hose at all. So you're still gonna need to go get some 3/8 hose. It actually says 11/32 on it. I just noticed that. What I'm gonna do is replace it with this 3/8 hose, and it'll function just the same. If you're gonna use an aftermarket hose like this, make sure, or I would recommend getting a braided hose, just so it doesn't collapse on you when you have max vacuum on this. You don't wanna have any problems. The vacuum line does, I don't think the vacuum line had braids in it when I was looking at it down at the auto parts store. So if you're gonna replace your hose, you could get the factory PCV valve hose. There'll be a link in the description for that as well. Or you could just get some 3/8 hose. I believe this was around, I think it was like 35 bucks when I looked at it. And this hose itself was 7 bucks down at the auto parts store. Now let's go ahead and install everything. I'm gonna grab my PCV valve hose that I'm gonna be using, my new valve. Go ahead and put it on the valve. And go ahead and stick this in the valve cover. Conveniently, while I was moving the camera around to get a view of installing the PCV valve, I turned my mic off, so you guys get a nice little voice over here. You're going to grab your PCV valve. You might want to put some oil on that PCV valve and slide it right into the valve cover. There is a grommet back there where your PCV valve slides into. You don't want to push that grommet into the valve cover and cause a bunch of more problems for you. So putting a little bit of oil around the PCV valve itself makes it a little bit easier to slide in. So a little bit of lube goes a long way. And now we're ready to put the tube, the PCV valve hose, up onto the intake nipple. When I was installing this hose, I noticed that it was a little bit too long, so I ended up cutting off about 4 inches of the hose. I bought a 18-inch section of hose, so 14 inches is all you really need. I cut off a little bit of it, and it fit just right. So now we're ready to install it onto the nipple of the intake. Now that we got that hose cut, we can put a little bit of lube in there, give it a good little hawk to it. And gonna slide it right onto that nipple, like so. And you're all done. So you have a brand new PCV valve hose up to the nipple, down to the PCV valve, you're all good to go. Now, if this video did help you out, make sure to comment below with the year, make, and model of the vehicle that it did help you on. Don't forget to hit that like button. And to recap real quick, you could replace the PCV valve hose with a 11/32 is what came off, or a 3/8 like I use. Just make sure it's braided. If you have a PCV valve that has no actual valve in it, I would recommend replacing one with a valve in it. And then also, if you want to rebuild your, I guess rebuild would be to say, your old PCV valve hose, you could just replace the ends, because these are the actual hoses to the fitted line or the molded line. You could just replace both of these ends as well. This video will be helpful on a ton of vehicles, so make sure to like, subscribe, and share. Comment below with the year, make, and model of the vehicle that this video did help you on. Let everybody know that it works for their vehicle as well. I appreciate you guys watching. Check out the video library, and I will see you guys in the next hopefully helpful video.